curious, observant. This line chart plots India's total food grain production over a 46-year span, starting in 1970. The output doesn't stay flat. It bounces from a low of 108 million tons in the early 70s to a peak of 272 million tons by 2016. Economists call these fluctuating values our variables. Mapping them out is the first required step to understanding how a complex system actually behaves. Let's scale things down to a more immediate problem. Suppose local fuel prices jump overnight, and we want to know exactly how that increase impacts the budgets of households in a specific neighborhood. We can't rely on anecdotes or guesswork. To get a real answer, we have to build a rigorous, step-by-step data collection process from scratch. The first choice a researcher faces is where to look. You can use secondary data, information that some other agency has already collected and published, like an old government report. It's cheap and fast, but it might be outdated or too broad. Alternatively, you can gather primary data, first-hand information you collect yourself. Because we need current, highly specific answers about our local neighborhood's budget, we have to gather primary data. We need to go out and ask the residents directly. To do that, we build a survey. The core instrument of any survey is the questionnaire. Writing good questions is surprisingly difficult, and poor phrasing will ruin the integrity of your results before you even start. Take a look at this structure. Asking a respondent, "Don't you think the petrol hike is unfair?" is a leading question. That negative phrasing nudges the respondent toward a specific answer, effectively planting the conclusion before they've even finished reading. To fix it, we strip away the bias. What is your view on the recent petrol price increase? Precise, neutral phrasing guarantees a more honest response. That revised version is an open-ended question. It allows for highly detailed, individual answers, but it's incredibly difficult to score. If we want something easier to tabulate, we use closed-ended or multiple-choice questions, giving the respondent strict categories to choose from. The physical design of this questionnaire serves as a firewall. It is the only thing preventing the researcher's own opinions from seeping into the final dataset. Once the questions are locked, we have to decide how to deliver them. We could conduct face-to-face personal interviews. This yields high detail and lets you observe a person's physical reactions. But paying trained investigators makes it the most expensive and time-consuming method available. We could mail the survey or send it online. This drops the cost to nearly zero and lets us reach remote areas easily. The downside is that people often misunderstand the written instructions or simply throw the survey away. Telephone interviews act as a middle ground. They are cheaper and faster than in-person visits, but still allow the researcher to clarify confusing questions in real time. Whichever mode we choose, we never roll it out immediately. First, we conduct a pilot survey, a small-scale test run with a fraction of the group to expose any confusing questions or logistical flaws before we spend our full budget. Now we have to figure out exactly who takes the survey. If we have the resources to ask every single household in the country, we are conducting a census, or complete enumeration. This provides a total picture, but requires years of continuous work and massive national funding. Most researchers don't have that kind of time. Instead, they extract a representative sample, a smaller section of the population that accurately reflects the demographics of the whole group. To keep that sample mathematically accurate, we use random sampling. If our neighborhood has 300 households and we only have time to interview 30, every single one of those 300 houses must have an equal chance of being selected. Statisticians have to balance the desire for complete accuracy with the harsh realities of limited time and money. Choosing the right delivery mode and a tight sample size is how they strike that balance. Returning to our local neighborhood, the results are in. We now have a clean dataset showing exactly how the petrol price hike forced families to cut back on their discretionary spending. We got this clarity because our neutral phrasing, strategic delivery method, and strict random sampling stripped the human error out of the equation. These exact same principles govern the math at the highest levels of society. Whether you are tracking the demographic growth of 1 billion people or measuring the agricultural yield of millions of acres of wheat, the underlying rules of data collection remain identical. Meaningful policy starts with hard evidence. To build a functioning economy, leaders depend on the strict, unyielding discipline of systematic data collection.